Coming to you from deep inside the bowels of a great big empty. Get ready for another episode of The Home Defense Show with Skip Coryell.
Hello, American families. Welcome to this week's episode of The Home Defense Show. I'm your host, Skip Coryell. And if you love your family, care about them deeply, and want to learn how to protect them in every facet of your life, then you come to the right place. Man, we got a great show for you today. This is episode 111, and this is the last episode for 2018. It is New Year's Eve, and so tonight we will be ushering out 2018 and in with 2019. I'm hoping for a better year. I mean, 2018 wasn't bad, but it had its ups and downs. Today on the show, we're going to be speaking with David Pierce, the founder of the Sevier County Gun Club in Tennessee. And he's going to be telling us all about his gun club there, what it's like, what they do, how he founded it, why he founded it. And then we're also going to be talking about Tennessee gun laws, concealed carry laws, what it's like to get a Tennessee concealed carry permit. And then, of course, in segment 4, I will give you the wrap-up. Before I get too far into this week's episode is dedicated to Dave Stevens. Dave Stevens, he is a good friend of mine. He just passed away last week. He was a staunch advocate for Second Amendment and firearm rights here in Southwest Michigan. And so we honor Dave Stevens today by dedicating episode 111 to his memory. And I will tell you more about that in segment 4. All right, it's been a mixed week. Just a few days ago, I walked down the aisle at a church with my middle daughter, Kathy, on my left arm, and I gave her away in matrimony to Zachary Feldposh. Super duper guy. You know, I cried like a baby, because I always do at this kind of stuff. You know, I'm just a big bag of fuzzy, warm emotion when I'm not on the gun range. But this guy, he is almost perfect. He has one flaw, just one flaw. In fact, 2 weeks ago, Zach and Kathy came over because they had an argument, and they wanted me to settle it for them. And it's something that had to be done on the gun range. And Kathy was claiming that she was a better shot with a pistol than Zach. And so I said, okay, fine. We will have a competition. I'll be the judge. And all decisions are final. So we went down there and went to the bottom of the hill. And Kathy shot first. And she had, it was about 15 feet. She had about maybe a 2-inch group at 15 feet. And then Zach was up. I had to show him how to hold the gun first, how to stand, how to breathe, how to line up the sights. And his group was about 10, 12 inches. So the guy's a great human being. He's going to be a great husband for her. It's just that she'll have to protect him. But hey, it is what it is. Maybe, just maybe, I can talk him into taking one of my concealed carry classes this year. Because, no matter how good she is, Kathy's going to need backup. I'll see what I can do about that. And they darn well better give me some grandkids here really soon. I only have 11 grandkids. I'd like 3 or 4 more from them personally. So, Kathy and Zach, congratulations on your marriage. Now get busy. You've got work to do. Okay, let's talk about the news. What do we got going on the news here? I go to bearingarms.com. Bearingarms.com. Concealed carriers work to stop thieves. Fire after assault attempt. Okay, this is out of Washington State. Tom Knighton writes, Washington State is bipolar when it comes to guns. I think that's true, and that's a good way to describe it, I think. It's like the coast over there by Seattle. All the urban areas are like really anti-gun, but man, you get away from the coastline. Oregon is the same way. You get away from the coastline, and you've got some pretty staunch gun owners there. But hey, Michigan is like that too. You get away from Detroit, and you've got some very staunch gun allies. But I digress. While the state passed I-1639 recently, it also is a shall-issue state on concealed carry. In fact, we've seen before that in some parts of Washington there are a lot of people carrying when something bad happens. Yeah, it's kind of weird in that way. A couple of shoplifters found out just how many people in a given store might be armed after they stole a few products. On the afternoon of 22 December 2018, two young men decided to steal from a coastal farm and ranch store in Marysville, Washington. Marysville is a town of about 60,000 population, pretty good size, 35 miles north of Seattle. The two young men took nail guns worth about $3,200 from the store without paying. They did not expect opposition, or else they wouldn't have done it, right? Most stores teach their staff not to confront thieves. I've never understood that. I mean, my middle son, he works retail, and, he tried to stop a shoplifter once, and he got in trouble for it, which, that's probably my fault. I taught him some sense of right and wrong and justice, so it's just natural that he would try and prevent the crime. While it may prevent some lawsuits, it is an invitation to steal. In this case, concerned citizens worked to stop the blatant theft. An impromptu militia, I like that word, militia, of 6 formed up and surrounded the suspect's car with drawn pistols. Oh, surprise! They didn't expect to be surrounded by about 6 customers with guns raised. Boy, how do you not get in a crossfire with 6 guns? Wow. I wish we had video to go with this. One customer was standing in front of the car yelling at the alleged thieves to get out. Quote, "He won't shoot. Run him over," one of the suspects reportedly said. The driver pulled forward, causing the man confronting him to land on the hood, court papers say. Another customer shot at the driver's side front tire, according to documents. A third fired twice at the rear tire. Another responsible citizen followed the car until he thought they showed a gun. Then he backed off. Well, it was a nail gun. That's what they just stole. The car was found 3 blocks away with 2 flat tires. All the merchandise was inside. The police deployed a dog to track the suspects. The 2 suspects, 22 and 23 years old, were taken into custody. The armed citizens did not fire until the driver of the getaway car committed assault on the armed citizen attempting to detain them. The armed citizen who was struck with the car is in good condition. Good condition for just being struck by a car. He did not need to be hospitalized. The 2 suspects have been charged with felonies. And this is from Tom Knighton. Now, I'll admit my first reaction was to put my fingers to the bridge of my nose, groan, and shake my head. That was before I read far enough along to realize that the thieves had used their vehicle as a weapon. Yes, a 3,000-pound bullet. There are a lot of people who like to scream about unarmed individuals killed while behind the wheel of a vehicle, but they're either ignorant or lying. A car is most definitely a potential weapon. After all, more people die in car crashes and in shootings every year. A car is a dandy way to murder someone if you're so inclined. Because of that, the fact that the vehicle was being used in an aggressive manner, this was a clean shooting. Now, should guns have been drawn over a shoplifting case? I'd say probably not in most cases. I agree with you. But the moment they got into the car, they were armed. They had the potential to kill any one of those men. In fact, if I'm going to criticize anything, it's trying to shoot the tires rather than the bad guy. But that's just me. My thinking is that shooting tires doesn't work like on TV, and the bad guys can still get away. You start shooting at the guy trying to kill you with his car, though, and things changed. Still, An interesting story of how guns save lives, even in a state with mixed opinions on guns like Washington. All right. Well, you know what? That is an interesting story. Personally, I mean, it makes me happy. But would I point my gun at someone shoplifting because they were trying to get away? No, I wouldn't do that. Would I shoot out their tires? No, I wouldn't do that either. There's just a lot of bad things that can happen. Obviously, it turned out fine in this case, but you could deal with a ricochet. You could deal with someone getting run over. Obviously, that could happen. And if they had opened up on the people in the car, 6 people with even medium capacity magazines, man, you're talking about 60 to 100 rounds there. That could have been a bloodbath. But I'm glad they caught the young thieves and were able to educate them. All right, what else we got here? In honor of New Year's Eve. Annual New Year's Eve reminder, don't shoot into the air. In my neck of the woods, New Year's Eve brings a number of things. For my family, it brings dishes we only really seem to make for the occasion. It comes with some of our family coming over to hang out and watch movies. We're going to do that too. Tonight we're going to watch Herbie Goes Bananas. Now, granted, that wasn't really my first choice. I was more going for the Tremors 6 movie, with Burt Gummer, Michael Gross. But, hey, I've got 3 little kids, so I'll watch Herbie Goes Bananas instead. It also brings the sounds of gunshots echoing through the southwest Georgia trees. Every year, I can't help but remember the need to remind folks not to fire their firearms into the air. I'm not the only one wanting to remind folks either. The University City Police Department is asking celebrants not to fire their guns into the air at the stroke of midnight on New Year's Eve. Man, we used to do that all the time when I was a kid. Of course, I'm much smarter now. Now I fire into the berm. Firing a gun within the city limits is illegal, officials reminded residents via a press release sent Thursday. Just firing a gun, that is a crime, Captain Frederick Lemon said in a statement. No gun can be fired in the city limits. If there is damage to property, there can be misdemeanor or even felony charges, and if someone is hit, there are assault charges. All very true. For the record, it's illegal here in southwest Georgia too, but let's also face it. Unless someone sees them doing it, it's not likely they'll get in any trouble. However, the report continues with the really important part. When a bullet is fired into the air and then falls back toward the earth, it can reach speeds of 300 to 700 feet per second. A speed of 200 feet per second is enough to penetrate a human skull, police said. Hey, look, what goes up must come down. And he's exactly right. You know what? Go ahead and celebrate. Have a good time. But don't break the law. And don't break the safety laws of your gun. The rules of common sense. Don't shoot a gun up into the air. Okay? If you got to shoot, use bird shot and shoot into a berm. Okay? A berm designated for shooting. We all have gun ranges at our house, right? I know I do. Just shoot bird shot into the berm. That shotgun, that'll carry really nice. But here's Tom Knighton's letter to people who shoot up into the air with disregard to other people's safety. Dear moron, I understand that you're someone who needs to shoot a gun to celebrate. As someone who enjoys firearms as much, if not more, than the average guy, I get it. That doesn't mean it's a good idea. When you shoot a gun into the air, you're not being remotely safe with your firearm. You're just shooting to celebrate. The problem is, you could end up killing someone miles away. Yes, miles. If you have to shoot to bring in the new year, well, first seek help. Maybe I should get help. If you can't find any other way to celebrate, you probably need a professional. But beyond that, if you have to shoot, try firing into the dirt. Yes. Make sure that it's actually dirt and you're not going to hit a rock or something. It'll be far, far safer for everyone. And if you accidentally shoot yourself in the foot, maybe it'll be a good lesson for you to learn that guns are tools for self-defense purposes or hunting or even competition, but they're not meant for you to be a complete and total idiot with them. Hugs and kisses, Tom. Well, I agree with all but that last part. No hugs and kisses from me. But yes, fire into a safety-approved berm, bullet-absorbing material where it's legal. But have a good time, and don't drink first, okay? Don't have a few drinks, then get your gun and go outside and shoot because, hey, all bets are off after that. Don't be stupid. Do not be a future Darwin Award recipient. Have fun. Be safe. All right. Well, hey, looks like we are out of time for segment 1 here. But when we come back, we're going to be speaking with David Pierce. He is the founder of the Sevier County Gun Club from Tennessee. We're going to be talking about all kinds of fun stuff, about how he founded the gun club, what it's like, what they do, the history. He'll talk about some of the Tennessee gun laws. We'll juxtapose those to Michigan gun laws, give you a better idea how the rest of the world lives. And then in segment 3, we'll do that again. And then, of course, segment 4, I'll give you the wrap-up. All right, we got a 2-minute break here. While I'm away, go ahead and check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/MidwestTactical, and see what they can do to help protect you should you ever have to use your firearm in self-defense. Then, go ahead and check out elitefirearms.us. Find out what Larry Jackson can do to help you choose the best firearm for self-defense for your family. All right, when we come back, again, David Pierce, founder of Sevier County Gun Club. This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
My name is Sevier Coryell. Welcome to the Home Defense Show with my dad, Skip Coryell. Don't go nowhere. We'll be right back.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. Today, we are speaking with David Pierce, the founder of Sevier County Gun Club down in Tennessee. David, welcome to the Home Defense Show.
Thank you, Skip. Pleasure to be here.
All right, now, David, you and I, we have a history. We go back. We go way, way back. I guess we were in kindergarten together, weren't we?
Yes, we were. That was many, many years ago.
That was many, many decades ago, actually.
You got that right.
Oh, gosh. I turned 61 this year, and I imagine you did too. So that would take us back, about 56 years? So there's not a whole lot of people that actually know each other for that long of a time. And I'm certainly, proud and happy to have known you all of those many decades, David. Now,
thank you, Skip.
Hey, no problem. Now, David, I lost touch with you after graduation from high school, and you went your way and I went my way. But eventually we hooked up a few years back on Facebook, I believe, and you have done some special things down there in Tennessee. you founded an actual gun club, and not many people can say that. Tell us a story about Sevier County Gun Club.
Well, it started in December 2014. Started a Facebook page, and that's what I named it, Sevier County Gun Club. Added some friends and family. It kind of sat there for a couple of years until about February of 2017. We had a few people in that were a little more outgoing than I was, and it really started to explode. And in the last year and a half, we've grown to 1,600 members on Facebook, as well as we have about 150 active members. We hold indoor shoots, outdoor shoots. We have coffees on Saturdays. We have eat and meets at various restaurants. And we have many vendors that are part of our club that will give us discounts at their business, be it firearms businesses or air conditioning. It doesn't matter. They're all welcome to, give us discounts on anything they want to, obviously. So it's really come a long way, and I can't take total credit for it. I've got a couple, three guys, Ed, Alan, and Kevin, that are doing a fantastic job of promoting this and getting the word out, flyers, et cetera. So it's really been an exciting process.
Yeah. Now, David, Tennessee is a different kind of place. I mean, people in Tennessee are probably saying, yeah, Michigan's a different kind of a place. But all these states that we have, they're all special in their own way. They're all different. You have been in both. I mean, you grew up in Michigan and you're in Tennessee now. What are some of the differences that you see culturally in Tennessee that you didn't see in Michigan?
Well, I think a lot of it is, I hate to say it, but the old Southern hospitality that they talk about.
Mm-hmm.
People were friendly in Michigan. Don't get me wrong. I had lots of friends, and people were, always, thank you and yes sir, no sir. But down here, it's just really different. You get people that, you walk into a restaurant and the waitresses call you honey or sweetie.
Yeah.
It's totally different down here in that respect.
Yeah.
Outside of that, the biggest thing is the differences in taxes. We have no income tax, but we do have a rather high sales tax, so that kind of balances out, I guess.
Yeah. I do recall that. My kids lived in, northern Georgia. Boy, when they were growing up. It was up in, Dalton area, if you're familiar with that, Blue Ridge. And
Mm-hmm.
I would drive down through the hills of Tennessee, which, geez, to me are just so beautiful. I even had a couple of scenes in my latest novel, The Blind Man's Rage, in Coker Creek, Tennessee, I believe. And it was just this little, I had a sign, and that was basically, the whole place. But I've always liked that Southern hospitality. It's kind of a chivalrous kind of attitude that I really, really like. And I really think, back when we were kids, I think Michigan was a lot more than the way places like down south are today. Because the kids of today up here in Michigan, they're not the kids that we grew up with and our parents grew up with. So it is a little different, but hey, things change. You move on. What are you going to do? David, why did you decide to found a gun club? Because most people just don't do that.
Well, obviously, we've all had an interest in guns for many, many years. We used to, back in the day, we could carry them in our vehicle to school and go hunting after school. So
yeah.
That's all changed nowadays. But, we just enjoy our guns. And, I worked 2 years at a gun store down here part-time. I just got to think it'd be nice to get all these people together, as much as you could. So I just went ahead and made the page on Facebook, and like I said earlier, it just kind of grew from there.
So the people in Tennessee, exactly how pro-gun are the general populace in Tennessee?
I believe the majority of us here are pro-gun. Obviously, my inner circle is very pro-gun, so it's hard for me because I don't get outside the inner circle so much. But most people you talk to, they have the T-shirts, Second Amendment T-shirts, or have an AR on them, or whatever the case may be. So you see a lot of pro-gun attitude there.
Well, that sounds like a great place. I have been speaking with Ed Spangler from down there, and we're trying to arrange a time when I can come down there. I'm thinking like early spring, maybe March, April time frame, where I can come down there and visit your club and, maybe do some shooting with you guys, some training or something like that. That would just be awesome. So I'm looking forward to that. Let's talk about Tennessee gun laws. If I ask you something and you don't happen to know about it, just say, I don't know, but we'll figure it out together.
Okay.
Okay, up here in Michigan, we have a stand your ground law. And here in Michigan, the stand your ground law basically means that you don't have to, if you're opposed with deadly force, someone attacks you, you don't have the duty to try and get away before you stand your ground and use deadly force to defend yourself. Now, what is it like in Tennessee as far as stand your ground goes?
Tennessee has basically the exact same thing here. You don't have to retreat in the face of any kind of danger. Obviously, most of us, I think, would if we had that choice, but it's the same here. Stand your ground. You don't have any duty to retreat, and if you need to use deadly force, then you may.
Yeah. Now, up here in Michigan, there's an additional provision to our stand your ground law that basically says if you stand your ground and you have to take another life or use deadly force, that if you are not charged with a crime, then you can't be sued civilly. In other words, if you shoot a guy and he survives, or you kill a guy and his relatives want to sue you, they wouldn't be able to sue you. You've got some, legal protection from civil matters as well. Is there anything like that in Tennessee law that you know of?
Honestly, Skip, I can't answer that question because I'm not sure on that.
Well, maybe that gives you, that's something for your to-do list. You created a gun club. Now you can go ahead and try and upgrade your stand your ground law, assuming that you don't have that. But, I know there are some things that are better, that personally I like better about Tennessee gun laws than I do Michigan gun laws. And Michigan's kind of a middle of the road kind of a state as far as gun laws go. I mean, people in Utah and Texas and Arizona, they look at Michigan and go, oh gosh, how can you guys live in Second Amendment bondage? But then people from Massachusetts or New York look at us and go, oh wow, you're the bastion of freedom. And so, we're kind of in the middle. Tennessee, you have a concealed carry law. I believe it's a shall issue concealed carry law. Tell us how your concealed carry law works. How do you get a permit in the state of Tennessee?
Well, first of all, it is a shall issue state. And our permit is a handgun carry permit. It's not the concealed weapons permit per se.
Okay.
It is good if you are carrying, you can carry concealed or open, as long as the place you're going into isn't posted. Some people will obviously carry concealed in places they maybe shouldn't, but that's their choice. But to get a permit here, you have to be 21, no felonies or domestic violence issues. You have to fill out an application online or the driver's license bureau. Once you get the confirmation number on that, which comes in an email almost instantly, then you register for a class. Typical price around here is about $65. It's an 8-hour class. You go through the class, 4 hours of classroom training and a multiple choice test. And then you go ahead and shoot your qualification. I don't remember, it's been so long since I've done it now. I believe the distances are 3, 7, and 15 yards, and it's 50 shots. There's no movement, no anything. So it's really simple to pass the shooting portion.
Mm-hmm.
But then once you get past that, you get your certificate. You get fingerprinted, you go to the state. It's $100 initially for your first 8 years, and then it's $50 for each 8 years after that. Or after the initial one, you can buy a lifetime permit for $200.
Oh, now, David, you have a lifetime permit that you can get in Tennessee. That really interests me.
Yeah, it's you can't do it on your initial application. You have to wait to go through your first 8 years, and then you can go back and for $200, you can get a lifetime permit.
Oh, so you kind of like 8 years of probation, right? And then you can go for the lifetime permit.
I guess that's what they consider it, yeah.
Yeah. Well, actually, that does sound like a great idea. I think Indiana has something like that as well. But $200 for the rest of your life, that kind of makes sense to me because, if you get in trouble, if you commit a crime or something, you're going to be reported and you're going to lose your permit anyways. So, why make us go back over and over again just to reapply for something that we already have? It doesn't make any sense to me. At all.
Right. I chose not to go with a lifetime permit. I figure $200, am I going to live another 32 years? That's what it amounts to.
Yeah,
so,
that makes sense.
I just get the 51, the 8 years every, So.
All right. Now, you said it's $100 for 8 years, correct?
Yes.
All right, yeah. Up here in Michigan, it's $115 for 5 years. So, boy, you definitely, have us on that one.
When I got my permit, I believe the initial one was $115, and it was only 4 years. So things have been changing around here. Initially, the lifetime permit was $500.
Yeah.
So they're making it easier to the pocketbook now.
Well, and quite frankly, they shouldn't be charging us, for a basic human right anyways. Yeah, you can protect yourself, but it's going to cost you $200, and, give it to the government. I've never understood that. I've never liked that, but you know what? It is what it is, and there's not at least for right now, there's nothing we can do about it other than just keep fighting and keep trying to upgrade, which, of course, we will.
Right.
All right, and
we did have the promise of constitutional carry here from our now lame duck governor, but it never went through in 8 years. So
yeah, funny how politicians can sometimes change their minds.
Yes.
Up here in Michigan, it's even worse for us. We just got an anti-gun governor, an anti-gun attorney general, and an anti-gun secretary of state, and we're probably going to be playing defense up here for quite a few years, and we'll try, but we're probably not going to be upgrading our gun laws anytime soon. Well, David, when we come back, we're out of time for this segment. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit more about your training again, just so that I understand it, and I'll tell you what we do up here in Michigan. So you can stick around for another 14, 15 minutes?
Yeah, I think my wife's getting ready to go somewhere, but I can talk in the car.
Okay. All right. We'd better hurry then because the wife is the boss. I understand. Okay, folks, we've got a 2-minute break while we're away. Check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and elitefirearms.us. When we come back, we'll be speaking more with David Pierce from Sevier County Gun Club on Tennessee gun laws. This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. We will be right back.
This is Felix Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Always use guns safely and wisely. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry book by yours truly, Skip Coryell.
Wouldn't it be wonderful if life was like the movies and the good guys always won? In today's world, if you're forced to use your firearm to protect yourself, you will need protection. Firearms Legal Protection is here for you. FLP provides you with seasoned, experienced attorneys that handle your criminal and civil matters as a result of you protecting yourself. FirearmsLegal.com provides its members with uncapped attorney's fees, bail bond protection, and coverage in all 50 states. We are not a reimbursement plan. You can access uncapped attorney's fees for as low as $10 a month. Firearms Legal members are provided with educational services, training videos, and access to our vast national attorney network. While you're protecting yourself, let Firearms Legal protect you.
Listen up, folks. This is important. There are plenty of legal protection services out there, but none will protect you as well as Firearms Legal Protection. This is the one I use and the only one I recommend. Visit firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical and protect your family now. Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. We are speaking with David Pierce from Sevier County Gun Club down in Tennessee. Now, David, where exactly in Tennessee are you located?
Sevier County is southeast of Knoxville. We're in East Tennessee. It's the home of Dollywood. Dolly Parton graduated high school at Sevier County High School. So there's lots of things here. We have Gatlinburg, Pigeon Forge, Dollywood. There's a lot of things to do here. We're, I guess, your typical tourist trap.
Oh, wow. So you're up in the mountains, basically.
Yeah, we're not in the mountains per se. The county does run up into the mountains all the way up to the state line of North Carolina. Personally, I live at the base of the Smoky Mountains. So
wow.
We're close.
You know, that just sounds great to me. You know, I love the mountains. My wife loves the mountains. She was raised up in the Rocky Mountains on the coast of Oregon. So,
oh, wow.
You know, I should have no problem getting her down to the Smoky Mountains. Now, on your training, how many hours training did you say the state requires?
It's an 8-hour class, typically done in one day, and they may do it 2 4-hour sessions on 2 consecutive days. But it's 4 hours of classroom training and a multiple choice test at the end of that. And then the shooting portion, as I said, is pretty simple. It's, I believe, 3, 7, and 15 yards and a life-size silhouette target. Not hard to pass that at all, even if you've never handled a gun before, I believe.
Yeah. Well, you know, actually in Michigan, you don't even have to be able to hold a group. I mean, the requirements are for range time 3 hours on the range and a minimum of 30 rounds that you have to shoot. That's 10 rounds an hour, and there's no requirement that you actually have to be able to hit the target. You know, and I never totally understood that. And you know, if you're going to carry a gun, whether it's legal or not, you really ought to be able to hit your target. And of course, there's a lot of safety requirements as well. But you said 3, 7, and 15 yard qualification course.
I believe that's what the distances are, and they do score it here. I mean, I think you got to be 80% in black.
Yeah.
7% in black, something like that. So you got to hit your target. It doesn't have to be a group, but you got to be on target for the most part.
Yeah. Well, that sounds good. If you're not on target, you need to practice and get on target. Let's move along here. Let's talk about pistol-free zones. You know, every state has different pistol-free zones. What are some of the zones, places where you can't carry a firearm in the state of Tennessee?
Well, your typical government buildings, schools, you know, things like that. Outside of that, basically, people will post their businesses, be it a restaurant or a retail store. There is a qualification on their part for the sign that they post it with, and a lot of those signs aren't legal, and people will walk right by them. Now, if you get caught with your gun in one of these zones, they can ask you to leave, and you do. Otherwise, then they can call the police on you.
Okay.
But the one thing that was passed here a couple of years ago is you can carry your gun in a bar now as long as you aren't consuming alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard that, David, and I really like that because it makes sense. I mean, every once in a while, violent stuff happens in a bar. So if I go to a bar, that's where I want to be carrying, and I don't drink anyways. So, that's not really an issue for me. Up here in Michigan, it's different. And I really don't like the way it is here in Michigan. In Michigan, we have a convoluted law that says, you can't carry inside an establishment that earns more than 50% of its revenue from the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premises. And it's like, how are you supposed to know how much money they make on alcohol if you don't look at their books, and they're not going to let you look at the books? So it's like, is Applebee's okay? Is Pizza Hut okay? Johnny's Brew Pub, is that okay? We really don't know. So, I like that you guys went ahead and did that. I wish we could do that here. I don't see that happening up here anytime soon, but boy, that's one law you guys really have up on us. Have there been any problems that you know of, like a big rash of murders in bars because of CPL holders?
I can't say I've ever heard of one yet.
Yeah,
and I think you understand that. People that are carrying legally, law-abiding citizens, it's not going to change if they have a gun in a bar or if they can't have a gun in a bar.
Yeah, it's like some of these anti-gunners, the way they think, their thought processes they must look at us as like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It's like you're a normal person without a gun. You love people. You open doors for people. You howdy, ma'am. But then as soon as you strap on a gun, you magically transform into, the devil incarnate, and you just want to run around and start shooting people. And it's just not that way at all. You mentioned government buildings. That would be like the, obviously a courthouse probably. The
courthouse, your federal building, your post office, etc.
Oh, okay, all right. So would that include like maybe the city administrative offices, or a village township, or a township office, or something like that?
I'm going to say yes, but I don't get in those buildings very much, so I can't give you an honest answer.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah, it sounds like for the private businesses, it's real similar to what we have up here. Basically, it doesn't fall under the concealed carry law. It falls under the criminal trespass law. David, what about in churches? Because we can't carry in churches up here.
We do here. The two churches that I've went to for the most part while we've been down here, actually the pastors carried, the associate pastors carried, the secretary carried, and they made some off-the-wall comments a couple times about how many people in the congregation probably were carrying at that moment as well.
Yeah. Well, sounds like you're not a soft target, and that's always good. We have up here in Michigan, we're having a lot of churches scramble to create what's called a safety team, because if you have the permission of the church, you can carry in the church, which it's never made sense to me. It's like the liberals, they always want separation of church and state, but then they pass a law telling the churches, when they can carry and when they can't. So, churches sounds great. You guys can carry in churches, and we cannot in Michigan without permission from the actual church. So, hey, I like that a lot. Now, what are some of the other prohibited zones for Tennesseans?
Oh, boy, that's a good question. I go to work and come home for the most part.
It sounds like...
Obviously your malls, those are all posted.
Are they really? Every mall?
Yeah.
Oh,
as far as I know, all of them around this area are.
Oh, it's probably because it's private property, so it's under that portion of the law.
Yeah, yes.
Well, I hate to see that because, I tend not to see those signs anyway. We're supposed to walk around looking for signs before we go anywhere, and I've never liked that. Well,
we pretty much ignore them.
Oh, okay.
Or
All right.
don't see them. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, well, you're getting up in age. Eyesight's failing. You're not going to see everything you used to see anyways. Up here in Michigan, we have a duty to inform the officer. If we're ever stopped by a law enforcement officer, the first words out of our mouth are, officer, I'm a concealed carry holder and I'm carrying today. And if we don't do that, we lose our permit. They take away our gun. It's really nasty. And I think there are only 4 states in the whole country that do that, but lucky us, we're one of those. In Tennessee, if you're pulled over by the police, is there anything special incantation that you have to say?
No, we don't have to inform them at all. But here's the catch. When you hand them your driver's license, your carry permit has the exact same number as your driver's license. So when they pull that up, they're going to see. And then they can come back and ask, and then you have to abide.
Uh-huh. Well, that sounds like a lot of common sense there. Your carry permit is the same number as your driver's license.
Yes.
Wow. I like that. I like that quite a bit. Now, open carry is legal in Tennessee, is that correct?
With a permit. You have to have a permit to carry concealed or open. I believe in Michigan you can carry open without a permit, at least you could many years ago.
Yeah. Well, you still can, but, it's not socially accepted for the most part in the larger cities. I mean, when I'm around, Martin, Michigan, yeah, I'll open carry sometimes when I'm out in the rural areas. It's not a big deal, but you get to the big city and you've got Kathy Liberal who will dial 911 and sick a SWAT team on you. And so that's never fun. Yeah, you can open carry, but as soon as you get the gun inside the vehicle, it's legally considered concealed. And so I don't know anyone who open carries who doesn't also have a concealed carry permit up here in Michigan. So is there any mandatory storage laws, like you have to keep your gun locked up in your house or in your car, or there's a penalty? Is there anything like that?
No, we have nothing like that. I know a lot of people have, big expensive safes and stuff. I personally don't have that many guns, and it's just me and my wife, so I don't worry too much about it. I know somebody, yes, could break into our house, but we do live in a gated community, so that's not a big deal.
Oh, okay.
But, and I say gated community, it's a lot owners association. It used to be a campground, and now it's full of little miniature mobile homes.
Oh,
and
okay.
travel trailers, so that's what we live in now. It's really nice, but it's a little more secure than just a house alongside the road. Yeah, there's nothing that says that the gun has to be locked up, hidden, concealed away, or anything like that. So.
Well, that's nice. Yeah, I think I like that. Now, what about reciprocity, David? How many other states can you carry in with your Tennessee permit?
I believe it's 38 different states, and I couldn't name them all to you, but
wow.
That's the number that I came up with.
I just pulled it up here on my FLP application on my iPhone here. Firearms Legal Protection has an app. I pulled up Tennessee. I clicked on the state of Tennessee, and boy, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Yeah, that looks like it looks right about 38. That is a lot of places, and you can carry in Michigan when you come up here, obviously. Yeah, I think the Michigan permit, we have 40 states that we can carry in. That's probably the strength of the Michigan concealed pistol license, is that it's good in so many states, but Tennessee is almost as good in that. So
it's kind of funny if you look at the qualifications and you say you don't even have to hardly hit the target.
Yeah.
You think less states would want that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Now let's come back to Sevier County Gun Club. What's the next thing you guys got coming up? You usually shoot indoors or outdoors there?
We usually shoot indoors. We're in a kind of a funk right now. The range that we have used over the last year and a half and has given our members special deals closed the doors Thursday.
Oh, that's sad.
Yeah, so we're working, trying to get a deal with Bud's gun shop and range down here in Sevierville. You're familiar with Bud's online.
Yeah.
That's the same people that opened up a store here. That's where I worked for a couple of years. But so we're trying to work out a deal with them to accept our group in there on a couple nights a week, or a couple nights a month, and give us a little bit of a discount like the other place did. But that's all in the works, so we don't know what's going to happen. Our outdoor shoots are typically just on private property. We have 2 or 3 people that have, room for us to shoot. And when the weather's permitting and we don't have the range we've had like right now, we go out and shoot at their properties. And we have a whole slew of equipment: targets, target holders, tables, pop-up tents for, canopies, branch catchers. We do everything we can to make it look like we weren't there, when we leave. So
yeah, that sounds great. That's odd because, you're down in a warmer climate. You're shooting indoors. I'm up here in Michigan, where it's freezing to death, and I teach all of my classes outside, even January, February. It's just terrible.
Yeah,
but
it's funny though, because we don't really have the ranges like you have. Sevier County Conservation Club, and the rates are reasonable there for membership. The only place we have here like that is Gatlinburg Sportsman's Club, and to start your first year it's like $225, and it's $125 every year after that or something. And it's kind of out of the way, it's up in the mountain a little bit, and so it's a nice place. They got a lot of different ranges and stuff, but people just don't, it's not convenient and not really worth the money.
Yeah.
For the amount of time you may spend there.
Yeah. Well, one of the nice things about living in the Smoky Mountains is you're not going to have any trouble finding a backstop. I mean, you just shoot into the mountain. You always have a berm there. Up here in Michigan, it's so flat. You need, a bobcat or a bulldozer, to create a berm. Otherwise, the bullet's going to go for a long, long way. So you got that up on us, and that's good.
That is the case, except for a lot of it is kind of rocky.
Oh, that's true. There's a lot of limestone down there, isn't there?
So you gotta watch what these backstops are made of, So.
That's for sure. All right. Okay. Well, David, we have had a good talk. We've been talking about a lot of different things: Tennessee gun laws, Michigan gun laws, the Sevier County Gun Club, the founding of it, all of that good stuff. I'm definitely going to be making it down there in the spring, so I'll work with you guys to set something up, and that would just be fantastic. Before you go, though, David, where can people go to learn more about Sevier County Gun Club?
We have a public Facebook page. If they look it up as Sevier County Gun Club, and maybe a TN on the end for Tennessee. I'm not sure because I don't go to that page much. But it's an open page that people can go to and kind of see what we're about, and then steer them in the proper direction to get into our private page on Facebook, where you learn about everything that way.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a way to keep out people that may really not be wanted just by letting them into the main page.
You bet.
So,
okay, Sevier County Gun Club, Tennessee, that would get it. But Sevier is spelt a little differently.
I-E-R.
I-E-R, okay, S-E-V-I-E-R, Sevier County Gun Club in Tennessee. Check that out on Facebook. Learn all about, how they do it down south. Well, David, it's been good getting caught up with you. I'll be seeing you in the spring, but I just want to thank you for being on the Home Defense Show today.
Well, thank you, Skip. I sure appreciate it. I can't wait for you to come down here and meet everybody in the club and, have a little fun together.
All right. Hey, anytime you're with Second Amendment brothers and sisters on the gun range, you're going to have a good time. So it's been awesome, and I will be seeing you folks again. And thank you very much for being on the Home Defense Show.
Thank you, Skip. Have a great day.
All right. Okay, folks, we've got another 2-minute break. While we're away, check out our sponsors, firearmslegal.com/Midwest Tactical, and then elitefirearms.us, and then also go to Facebook and check out Sevier County Gun Club of Tennessee and see what they're all about. When we come back in segment 4, I'll have the wrap up. This is Skip Coryell on the Home Defense Show. Don't go anywhere. I will be right back.
Welcome to my dad's Home Defense Radio show. You're gonna love it.
Hey folks, I want to tell you about my book, Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book. More and more people across the country are seeing the dangers in society and are deciding to carry concealed to protect themselves and their families. My new book lays it out step by step. It'll teach you how to protect and defend the ones you love. Get the benefit of 17 years of teaching experience and a lifetime of training for this important role in society and in your family. You can get Civilian Combat real easy. Just go to Amazon.com, search on Skip Coryell Civilian Combat, and it'll pop right up there. Don't put it off any longer. Get Civilian Combat, the Concealed Carry Book by yours truly, Skip Coryell.
This is Colonel Danny Gillum. I host Frontlines of Freedom, a weekly syndicated military talk radio show. One of my co-hosts is Skip Coryell, the host of this show. We cover things that impact military and veteran communities, and we do it from the veteran's perspective. The show is broadcast across the nation and is also available as a podcast on our website, frontlinesoffreedom.com. Please join Skip and me weekly on Frontlines of Freedom.
This is Skip Coryell from the Home Defense Show, and I want you to have the very best handgun that money can buy. And that's why we recommend you visit Larry Jackson at Elite Firearms and Training. As a concealed carry instructor, I see people every week out on the range with guns they can't shoot properly because they didn't know what to buy. That will never happen at Elite Firearms and Training. Larry Jackson will personally fit you with your very own personal defense pistol. So call Larry Jackson today at 616-299-8715 or visit elitefirearms.us.
Skip, it's time for our Armed America Report. Talk to us, man.
All of us here at Frontlines of Freedom want our listeners to get trained and get armed in that order. We fully support the right to keep and bear arms for all law-abiding families, and we encourage you to find out about the laws governing use of deadly force in your state and follow them to the letter. And of course, don't forget to follow the rules of safety and common sense whenever you're carrying a firearm to protect the ones you love. What's the story this week, Colonel?
Well, when 3 armed young men tried to force a convenience mart worker into the store so they could rob it, the clerk fought back and came out on top. The employee, a Marine veteran, was taking a break from his duties behind the register at the Tennessee business when 3 strangers approached. When one pointed a shotgun at him, the veteran drew his everyday carry handgun and fired, hitting the culprit in the stomach. The other 2 suspects ran off. The wounded man was charged, and the police are seeking his accomplices.
Thanks, Colonel. I think we have to give this Marine an A for positive attitude and for raw courage. Accepting a challenge at room-length distances against a man with a shotgun is not an easy thing to do. But this Marine vet did it, and he still came out on top, despite the fact he was outnumbered and outgunned. There are 3 things that every person needs to prevail in an attack of this nature. Let's go over them now. 1, attitude. You have to have a positive can-do military attitude that says, I'm the best and you better not mess with me because I will prevail. I can tell you from experience that the Marine Corps is very good at instilling courage and confidence in its people. And if you're going up against 3 men with just your pistol, fear is not an option. This Marine obviously had the proper attitude and he took the fight to the bad guys. 2, skills. Attitude isn't always enough. You always have to back up your confidence with something tangible like a good firearm, good marksmanship, as well as tactical skills for a close quarters combat like this one. In a case like this, I'd be drawing my firearm while moving to cover. As all of us know, 1 blast from a shotgun at close range is a game changer. And 3, you need a plan. The fact that this Marine veteran showed no or very little hesitation before responding to the threat tells me that he'd been thinking about this for a while. In self-defense circles, we call this technique visualization. That's where we visualize the attack happening, then you make a plan for a counterattack. It's a continual process of visualizing, then analyzing your response so you can then fine-tune your tactical response to enhance your chances of success. These 3 skills are necessary in any fight, so if you don't have them, get some good personal defense training that will get you on the warrior's path. One good place to start is ActiveSelfProtection.com. That's a website by a fellow military vet named John Correa. John posts a different video every day of a real-life attack that you can use in your training to help you prepare. Attitude, skills, and plan. It takes all three to win.
To that I say, amen.
Okay, folks, welcome back to the Home Defense Show. This is your host, Skip Coryell. Hey, two good segments with David Pierce from Sevier County in Tennessee. Sevier County Gun Club. Check it out on Facebook. Hey, I got a little backstory on David Pierce. You know, I remember, in a tiny, teeny little town like Martin, I remember we graduated in 1975. We had 65 graduating seniors that year. And, boy, when you got that small of a class, you get to know everybody really, really well. And I remember David lived in a little red brick house right behind the football field. And, so there was a year where I would go home with him for lunch almost every day because his mom made the best peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, grape jelly, smooth peanut butter, and that white squishy Wonder Bread that really isn't that good for you? Oh man, I love that stuff. And I'd have that. I'd go home with David, and we'd drink ice cold milk, eat a couple of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, and then head on back to school. But oh man, good memories with my friend David Pierce. So we thank him for being on the show, and I really do look forward to going down to Tennessee, Sevier County Gun Club, and meeting all the good folks down there. We will make that happen. Maybe we'll even broadcast a show from down there. That would be really, really good. Now, speaking of old friends, at the beginning of the show, segment 1, I dedicated the show to the memory of David Stevens. I have known David Stevens for well over 20 years. He founded an organization called Berry County Citizen for Second Amendment and Firearm Rights. That was way back, must have been about 1998, 1997, something like that. And I was a member of that. That was back when I was working for Ted Nugent. And we worked together, Dave Stevens and I, to get the concealed carry bill passed into law here in Michigan. And so Dave and I have a lot of fond memories. But let me just read his obituary. This is from the Berry County Reminder. David Gene Stevens, Middleville, Michigan. David Gene Stevens, age 66, of Middleville, a man who lived by the motto, God, Dogs, Guns, died December 23, 2018, at home. He was born April 8, 1952, in Detroit to Earl and Jean Stevens. David got his master's degree in education and taught industrial art in the Hamilton School District. A genuine man that had a great faith in God and sought comfort in the power of prayer, David enjoyed his coffee shop ministries. He had an affinity for guns and teaching people about guns through CPL courses. Fishing, hunting, camping, kayaking, and driving his side-by-side were some of his favorite activities. David is survived by his son Todd, siblings Bradley, Dale, Scott, Jean, and Gail. He was predeceased by his parent, Earl and Jean Stevens, and his sister, Barbara. I went to the funeral home over in Charlotte this past Saturday. And it was hard because Friday night, my daughter got married. It was a very joyous occasion, and I cried, giving her away. And we were out late, me and Sarah and the three little ones. And so I got up early on Saturday, and then I drove over to Charlotte to the funeral. A big change up there, right? And I cried there too. And so we say goodbye to Dave Stevens from Middleville, Michigan, but not until I tell you a story. Dave and I, we went through a lot together. We had some good times, we had some tense times, but I remember one particular time. Dave called me up, and this must have been, I don't know, 2007, something like that. You know, we'd had our concealed carry bill passed into law for quite a few years. And Dave called me up, and he was very upset. You know, he had been talking to the Hastings police chief about open carry, and the police chief had told him that if anyone open carries in his town, he will arrest them for brandishing. And so so Dave told me, he says, I'm going down there, and I'm going to picket the police chief headquarters there, and I'm going to open carry up and down until he arrests me, and then I'm going to sue him. And he says, you know, would you like to do it with me? And I go, oh, what is this, a trick question? How could a guy pass up an offer like that? But, you know, I'd been in the Second Amendment movement for a long time, and what I told Dave is, I said, listen, you know, if you want to do this thing, fine, let's go ahead and do it, but let's do it in a way that we make a big statement and we don't get arrested or accidentally shot or something like that. So I said, give me a month and a half, and we'll organize an open carry march and get, you know, 100 people there instead of just you and I. That way we're much less likely to get arrested. And so he said, okay, fine, I can wait. And so, you know, I put all my contacts together and we publicized it. And I called up the county prosecutor ahead of time, just, you know, to let him know this is what we're doing. I called the county sheriff, said, okay, this is what we're doing. You know, we mean no harm. Boy, when you plan an event like that, it's really scary because you don't really know if anybody's going to show up. And I remember driving there with Sarah and the little ones, and I said, honey, what if nobody comes? Because it still could be just me and Dave, and I could get arrested. And she says, don't worry about it. So we get there. I remember we met at Richie's Cafe, and it's just this little coffee shop, restaurant. Great hamburgers, fries, good breakfast there. And that's where all the locals would always go. You want to meet all the farmers, factory workers, you go to Richie's Cafe, and you'll do that. They don't take credit cards, only cash. So I get there, and not knowing what I'm going to meet there, and right out front, there's a wood TV was there, a big TV cameras, and I did an interview. Before I even went into the cafe, I did an interview, and I remember Dave was out front, and then I go over to him and said, is there anybody in there? And he says, yeah, it's close to 100 people in there. I go, oh, yeah, great. You know, and I go in there, and the Richie's Cafe is just packed out, and everybody's open carrying. And so, you know, I went through the spiel, you know, we're going to have this safe, the guns stay holstered, be polite, you know, be on your best behavior, all that stuff. And, you know, they had picket signs and all that stuff. And so we went out there, and I remember Dave Neeson was at the head of the pack with me. You recall we dedicated the show to Dave Neeson way back in April or May this past spring when Dave died. And he was in a wheelchair. You know, he spent most of his life in his wheelchair. Legs wouldn't work. And so, you know, we marched down the street, down the sidewalk, and all these people, these residents, are taking pictures of us with their cell phones and waving, and it was like a parade. And we marched all the way down to the Hastings Police Department. And then we looked up and we waved, and then we marched back. And then we met in front of the Sevier County Courthouse and at the fountain there, and I gave a nice speech. The Detroit Free Press called it a red meat speech for the troops. And we just had a good time, and I believe that was when I met Brian Jeffs, one of the co-founders of Michigan Open Carry, and then went on to publish his book, My Parents' Open Carry. So that is one of my big memories of Dave Stevens, fierce advocate for firearm rights in West Michigan. So it is with a sad and heavy heart that we bid a fond adieu to Dave Stevens. He is with his maker now. It's you're wondering, how can you laugh at a time like this? Well, when a Christian dies, it's different because I know where you are. You're in a better place. If they're not a Christian, they're an atheist or whatever, it's sad. But in this case, hey, Dave is looking down. He's probably even listening to the show right now. I like to think that God listens to the show, but I might be getting a little too self-grandizing. But Dave, he's listening to the show. And Dave, thanks for your friendship. Thank you for all you did for the right to keep and bear arms while you were here on this earth. And we will be meeting you again. How soon? We don't know. But I look forward to seeing you again, Dave. And we dedicate this show, episode 111 of the Home Defense Show, to David Gene Stevens. Oh, boy. Well, okay, folks, that about wraps it up for this week's episode of the Home Defense Show. Until next week, remember your purpose in life is to find something greater than yourself and serve it. Always remember, God, family, country, in that order. It's important how you live, but it's equally important how you die. Your family and the ones you love need your protection, so train, always train, stay alert, stay alive. Until next week on the Home Defense Show, this is your host, Skip Coryell. God bless you, God bless your family, and God bless America.
Thank you for joining us this week on the Home Defense Show. Now, get out there and protect the ones you love. We'll see you next week with more of the best in home defense.
Bye-bye, boys! Have fun storming the castle!